Madison Public Library connects us to the world, to information, and to each other. September is Library Card Sign-Up Month, so it's the perfect time to get your very own Madison Public Library card. Already have a card? You can renew it this month and visit the library website for a list of 30 things you can do with your Madison Library card, one for every day of September. Visit madpl.org or stop into any Madison Public Library to get started. Y'all, Jones Dairy Farm, located in Fort Atkinson, is a standout. They do premium meat manufacturing, making dry-aged bacon, naturally smoked hams and Canadian bacon, all-natural sausage, and a new no antibiotics ever chicken and pork meatballs. It's a 7th-generation family-owned and operated farm who's been making breakfast better since 1889. Learn more at jonesdairyfarm.com. That's jonesdairyfarm.com.
Today on CityCast Madison. If you love photography, it can be easy to find cool pictures on Instagram and all the camera tips you need on YouTube. But seeing photography in person and connecting offline with the photography community can be difficult. Luckily, PhotoMidwest Festival 2024 lands in Madison starting tomorrow. And FlakPhoto and the Art and Lit Laboratory are making sure that in-person photography fun continues past the festival this fall. Host Bianca Martin sat down with the curator and director of FlakPhoto projects, Andy Adams, to talk about the festival's exhibitions, workshops, and the importance of building Madison's photography scene. It's Monday, September 16th. I'm producer Phil Circus, in for Bianca Martin, and here's what Madison's talking about.
Andy, what's good?
Not much. Wow, hot summer. It's hard to believe it's already over, or just about.
I know. It has been a really nice summer, full of festivals, and we are not done with festival season, as I've learned.
Fortunately, no. Well, no. I mean, in these parts, especially, fall is the spoil of festival riches in Madison, right? There's like too many things even happening to go to everything, but yeah, It's a good problem to have.
Yeah, the cornucopia is here. You've got some exciting news. You're
Definitely
spearheading with local collaborators a first of its kind Midwest Photo Festival here in Madison. The festival is a kickoff and a part of a larger series of photography programming coming to Madison. So tell us about what you're cooking up.
Well, let's see. Lots of different things in the hopper. So I am working with two venerable arts organizations here in Madison. First, the Arts and Literature Laboratory here downtown, and then also PhotoMidwest, a community photography group here in Dane County. And so together we have joined forces to present all kinds of photography programs downtown at the Art Lit Lab. We're organizing exhibitions. We're organizing some photography lectures. Later this year, we're going to be screening some documentary films. We're going to be signing some photography books. It's a little bit of everything for the photo geeks. So yeah, it's exciting.
It's super exciting, and I love those collaborators. They are indeed venerable. And most people will know or certainly have heard of the Overture Center, but are less familiar with places like Arts and Literature Laboratory. Can you talk about them, why take this effort on with them versus, maybe a larger venue?
Well, I used to work at Overture Center for in another life. I did digital marketing and communications at Overture. And in those days, all roads ran through Overture. And then a few years after I left, I discovered this other sort of scrappy indie art space, the Art Lit Lab. And I started to volunteer on the curatorial team over there. And there was just, ultimately it was a little smaller. It was more independent, more emerging artists, just an opportunity to show, I guess, those folks that were sort of on the way up. And, something a little bit more independent and scrappy. And Jolyn Ruerter, one of the co-founders of Art Lit Lab, and I have been brainstorming for several years now how we might develop some photography programming inside the Art Lit Lab. And then in 2020, when Art Lit Lab opened its new facility downtown here in the Capitol East corridor, it seemed like the perfect time to start to rock on it. And so we've been hard at work. We've organized a couple of exhibitions in the last year and a half and some photography talks. We've partnered with the Wisconsin Book Festival last year to organize a photography lecture. And then this year we wanted to expand on that by developing this partnership with PhotoMidwest, who has been doing photography exhibitions in Madison for, gosh, like more than 20 years. So it's a marriage of creative forces to do some new and exciting things.
Yeah, quite the meeting of minds. I want to talk about you for folks who haven't met you. You have quite the online community built up over years of work developing a photography blog and newsletter, and I'll let you talk about it. But it's called FlakPhoto, and you've been doing lots of work curating photography there online. And now this effort is really pushing towards the in-person.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the festival, but can you share a little bit about who you are as a curator, Andy Adams, and what is FlakPhoto that you're bringing forward?
Yeah. Well, thanks for asking. I've been doing this project called FlakPhoto for just about 20 years, actually. And interestingly, I started to write a blog about photography in the summer of 2004, just about. And interestingly, at the time, I didn't know anybody in Madison that did photography things. And I started to realize there were photography people on the internet, and that was a way to connect with like-minded creative people who cared about pictures as I did. And so what I have largely done is brought people together online, international audiences of people who care about pictures, to look at pictures, to talk about them together. I'm a big promoter and fan of photography book culture, so I do lots with photography books and folks that publish books and people who love to collect photography books. But strangely, I have done very little locally. And sort of ironic, because 10 years ago, I organized my first exhibition here in Madison with the Bubbler at the Madison Public Library. And I realized then in 2014 that it had taken me 10 years to learn how to do a traditional photography exhibition. I had just been doing all of these different digital things online. And then what was exciting about that, though, and what really sort of clued me into the power there, was that we had this opening reception that was downtown, and we did a lecture at the Madison Museum of Contemporary Art. And like 450 people came out to that opening that night. And that made me realize, wow, there's actually a ton of interest in photography in Madison. There just aren't enough photography opportunities for people who make pictures and people who appreciate pictures to come together to look at them and talk about them together. And I decided that I wanted to try and do more of that. So periodically I've popped up and done some projects here in town, but this is really a major refocusing of that effort.
Yeah, and I follow you online, and I'd say you're a proper influencer, I guess you could say, in the photography world. And you really have spent so much time curating an online community, and so it's exciting to see you, stepping more into the physical world in the Madison scene. Can you talk about your sense now? Like, does Madison have a photo scene? Or have you seen any growth over your time here as someone with an eye on the photography world?
That's a good question. I mean, I think the short answer is yes. Madison does have a photography scene, but I think a more specific answer to that is, from what I can tell, observationally, is that it's sort of a scene of disparate scenes. And by that, I mean, I keep meeting people in town, in the area that make pictures and care about photography. But when I talk about other people that I know, those people don't know each other, right? And so it strikes me that there's actually lots of interest and lots of enthusiasm for photography in Madison, which to me is an enormous opportunity to try to create some sort of a signal to bring those people all together, right? To intermingle, to learn things together, to network, to, I guess, to create an offline community experience, as I've done online. And with the few pilots that we've done so far, that's been really successful. And I think that we're going to see that a lot of folks are going to be excited to meet more photography people in Madison. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it unfolds.
Yeah, over our time at CityCast, I know we've talked with Pete Souza, Obama's photographer, Sam Lee about like drone photography in Madison. We've got Kenton Fowler out there. I DM'd you on Insta. You didn't see it, but hopefully we can talk to you. And there's tons of other names, but there really are people with a huge, not just a lot of photographers, but also people who are photo fans that want that content.
I appreciate the Instagram DM reference, because I was the reason I say this is because I discovered this photographer that I just thought was phenomenal. Her name is Sarah Stellino. She makes these black and white traditional darkroom silver gelatin prints. And I was like, dang, this photographer is outstanding. Where's she from? What? She lives in Madison. It turns out she just lives on the north side, like not far from the Tip Top, near where, kind of in my neck of the woods. So I reached out to her. I said, could we get coffee? We met each other. We got to be friends. And that was the first show I curated at Art Lit Lab last January, was a show of Sarah's prints. And I'm confident that more of those kinds of connections are going to happen here as we create more of a signal for people to come together around that shared passion for photo. I think there's a real opportunity to discover the artists in our midst, and also just to, make some new friendships, some new relationships, and really try to create some community thing here on the ground focused on photography.
What's up, guys? It's the champ, Sean O'Malley, here to talk to you about Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best place to win real money while watching football. Run your game on Prize Picks.
Prize Picks will give you $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Just download the Prize Picks app and use code Spotify. That's code Spotify on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play a $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
So what's it like to buy your first cryptocurrency on Kraken? Well, let's say I'm at a food truck I've never tried before. Am I gonna go all in on the loaded taco? No, sir. I'm keeping it simple, starting small. That's trading on Kraken. Pick from over 190 assets and start with the $10 in your pocket. Easy. Go to kraken.com and see what crypto can be. Not investment advice. Crypto trading involves risk of loss. Cryptocurrency services are provided to U.S. and U.S. territory customers by Payward Interactive Inc., PWI, DBA Kraken. View PWI's disclosures at kraken.com/legal/disclosures.
Yeah, well, so let's talk about the festival next weekend. What are some of the experiences people can have at the fest?
Well, the core component of our festival weekend is the PhotoMidwest, the 13th biennial exhibition. So this is a big photography exhibition. It's going to take up the two main galleries inside the Art Lit Lab. This is the 13th biennial. And the way it's structured is like this. They bring a nationally known juror in to curate a show of submissions that come in from around the Midwest. So that's like 12 or 13 states in the Midwest region of the United States. And this year's show is going to be something like, 68 photographers, 70 photographers, something like that are going to be in the show. So lots of talent, lots of pictures. That's exciting. So the biennial is going to take up the two main gallery spaces. And then that was really kind of the core start of our conversation when Art Lit Lab started to talk to PhotoMidwest. And then we decided, well, why don't we try to expand on that by building additional program components around it? So in addition to the biennial exhibition, I have curated two other exhibitions. In the upstairs mezzanine gallery, I've worked with a photographer from Illinois named Rashad Taylor. We're staging a big solo show of Rashad's work. And then in the project gallery, also on the first floor, curating a show featuring 10 photographers from around the Midwest to launch the Art Lit Lab Flat File project, which is going to be a new initiative that's all about creating opportunities to collect photography and celebrates print photography. So Sarah from Madison Photography is in that show, but we've also got photographers from Minnesota, from Ohio, from Illinois, from Missouri, from Kansas, like all over the place. Of course, there's just, the truth is there's actually a ton of talent in this part of the world. And what you come to expect out of the photography community is that it's New York City, it's Los Angeles, it's Paris, it's London, where all of these things are happening. And increasingly, I'm just really inspired by those folks that are making work in this part of the world where we live. And what's exciting is to do something here on the ground in Madison where we can bring people together. So we're going to have somewhere in the ballpark of 50 printed photography pictures to look at in person when you're here during the festival weekend. And then in addition to those exhibitions, I'm also organizing a lineup of photography lectures, a speaker series. PhotoMidwest is organizing a workshop and a keynote lecture with the juror of this year's biennial, Chris Graves, who's flying in from New York. And then we're also doing some photography book signings. So there's a lot going on. It's pretty exciting.
What's the process like for you in curating and deciding like who's got talent,
Well, it's completely subjective, right? I mean, from a process perspective, it's what catches Andy's eye and what am I into? And of course, I've got my own biases and preferences. But the truth is that I'm always looking. I for better and worse, I'm addicted to Instagram, so I'm there every day. I've been doing the project long enough that fortunately, photographers from around the world will email me every day, right? So I get to look at pictures all the time. I get to look at photography books all the time. And I just like to pay it forward by promoting those people on social media, in the newsletter, in the blog, and increasingly here in the real world. And that's what I'm most excited about, is like adding this offline, IRL dimension to what it is that I'm doing. Because, the reason that the PhotoMidwest Art Lab team is so excited about this collaboration is that there's no shortage of photography experiences on the internet, but it turns out that it's a rarefied thing to come together in a room to look at physical printed photography together and just to connect with human beings in person, right? To look at and talk about pictures together. It's sort of ironic that that should be a rarity, but it is these days. And so that's really an animating principle here too, is how we can create more of that signal for people to come together and in person to look at this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned for the festival that there will be sort of classes, like some opportunities for photographers to learn some skills with folks. So is this festival, is it just for photographers, or is it for, people generally who are attracted to photographs?
Great question. I'm glad you asked, because the assumption might be that this is only for people who make photography. And certainly that's going to be a core part of the audience. But something that we're pretty committed to at our Lit Lab is how we can bring the public into the doors to experience art of all kinds, whether that be literature, live music, poetry, film screenings, and now photography. So absolutely, the programs that we're organizing are very much for the public. We will have a professional practices for photographers workshop in the morning. So that's going to appeal to artists, working artists, and photographers in particular. But then the afternoon speaker series and the keynote lecture with Chris Graves that night on Saturday, September 28th, those are all open to the public. Very much in the spirit of what you might see at the Wisconsin Book Festival or the Film Festival, right? Just storytellers using pictures to document the world, to share their vision of the world. It'll be a nice opportunity to kind of see not only what kinds of pictures are being made in these parts and who the people are that are making them, but the power of photography is the way that it can communicate uniquely human stories. And so the talks that we've organized are very much about trying to foreground that human element of visual storytelling.
And I feel like it's another layer to be able to actually meet the person too behind the lens, who's looking to tell that story. And some of these stories have personal elements to it from what I read about some of the folks you're talking to.
Yeah, there's real value, I think, in being able to just talk with each other, image maker to image maker, right? About the practice, about the work, about the culture of photography. It's a beautiful, wonderful thing. And it's a nice opportunity to celebrate it together.
Yeah, and I love that, this festival, the opportunities that you're having, it's coming up next weekend, but you're hoping that it grows and it continues on. You'll have more programming throughout the fall. Can you speak on how do you hope to see these efforts around photography programming that you're setting off grow in the years to come?
I mean, this festival weekend, September 27, 28, is very much a kickoff to a longer term photography program that we're developing at the Art Lit Lab that we hope to partner with other organizations and to do all kinds of things. So we'll continue to stage photography exhibitions from year to year, focusing on artists living and working in the Midwest. And ideally, we'll be able to bring photographers in from other parts of the country and other parts of the globe. We will continue to expand on and develop the speaker series so that we can bring artists to Madison to talk about their work. So photography folks can come together in the audience and ask questions and see a proper presentation with photographers. And we'll focus on books whenever possible. And then the other really exciting angle that I haven't even talked about yet is that Jim Krell from the Art Lit Lab and I are also developing a documentary film series that we're going to kick off this fall and into the winter, specifically to focus on photography films in October, November, and December. But moving forward, we want to, especially with the changing nature of film distribution in Madison, we want to be able to provide an opportunity for folks that are interested in documentary cinema to come and see that inside the Art Lit Lab as well.
Oh my God, I love it. We love Jim. We love you, Jim.
Yeah, right? He's the best, isn't he?
He's truly the best. And I'm sure some folks listening actually already know who you are and maybe follow you and your writing. Can you share, where are a couple of spots that you like to go in Madison to take good photos?
Oh, well, if you follow my Instagram, which I would love for folks to check out at FlakPhoto, that's FLAK photo. The thing about me is that I carry my phone camera with me all the time. That's the camera I use. The best camera you have is the one you have with you, right? And I really just make pictures of anything, anywhere. And for me personally, the stuff I'm drawn to as an image maker is really simple things like the way that the light might look, or the ways that people's gardens are shaped, or just the vernacular architecture. Yeah, certainly Instagram is a great place to find me. But I would love folks who are interested in reading about photography to check out my newsletter. I write this Substack newsletter where I will be announcing some new things for our programs and continuing to promote the stuff that we're doing here in Madison. That's called FlakPhoto Digest. It's on Substack. You can find it at flakphoto.news. It's completely free, and I'd love for anyone to check that out.
Yeah. And folks can find updates on the festival there as well.
Yeah, that's right. And for more information about the festival, you should visit both photomidwest.org and the Art Lit Lab website, which is artlitlab.org. We'll have all of those events up there. You should be able to find them online. And certainly, if you have any questions, you should DM me at any time through Instagram. I'm at FlakPhoto.
All right. I love it. I love this.
Yeah.
I'm feeling the creative energies and the muses coming around to bless this whole experience, and I can't wait to see it. Andy, thank you so much.
Thank you, Bianca.
That was Andy Adams, the curator and director of FlakPhoto Projects. If you want to learn more about Andy's work, the Art and Lit Laboratory, and the PhotoMidwest Festival, check the links in our show notes. That's all for today here on CityCast Madison. I'm Phil Circus. If you enjoyed the show, why not share this episode with your favorite shutterbug? We'll be back tomorrow morning with more stories from around the city.